Good afternoon, everybody. This is a dry run test of an engagement broadcast and AMA, Ask Me Anything on Reddit, which I didn't know anything about until politicalrevolution.com, PolRev Live as well. Is what we're doing here. They came and said that we should do this together. And all right, it's a good idea. Reddit turns out to be this massive conversation, and I've always looked for a way to improve the conversation. This is a great way to do it. So here's how this is going to work. The actual conversation is going to happen on Reddit, but we're going to do it here live. You guys are going to have a much greater conversation on Reddit. Comments are going to happen here on YouTube with us. That's what we're doing here. But we're not taking any questions here on YouTube. The questions are going to happen on Reddit, so you're going to have to go there. And with me today from Political Revolution is Gloria Fields. She is the digital director. Hi, Glo. Thank you for being with us.
Hey, thanks, John. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Turn up your mic just a little bit for me, if you could, or get a little closer. I forgot. It's just a little quiet. Thought it'd be better. Awesome.
That
Perfect.
A little bit better. Okay.
Thank you. So I'm going to let you take it over from here, and I'm going to pull up the slide that shows where everybody needs to go. Because who are we interviewing today? This is Sam Ronan, right?
Got Sam Ronan for Congress in Ohio's 1st District. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for doing this experiment with us.
Hey, I like to be everybody's guinea pig, right? That's my sacrifice for the progressive movement.
Awesome. Well, I guess we're gonna jump right into some questions here. I know we've got limited time, so we're gonna start off with a little bit about you, and why don't you tell us what drove you to run for office?
Insanity, actually, no. The government shutdown, in all honesty, in 2013. I was active duty. I was just as tunnel visioned as everybody says the military is, right? I just cared about my 20 years, getting out and retiring. But the government shutdown put into stark contrast that our representation in DC did not have our best interests in mind. In fact, they shut down the government during a recovering economy and because of a reform that was proposed to healthcare, the Affordable Care Act. Now, we can all agree to disagree whether or not the Affordable Care Act is great or not, but it is a step in the right direction, and it did help so many millions of Americans. The fact that so many Republicans and so many leaders, people who should be leading this country, jumped on the bandwagon to shut down our government in protest rather than carry out their duties and responsibilities was my wake-up call. I knew I had to step up because clearly something had gone quite awry, and nobody else was doing it as far as I had known. So what I did is I put in my paperwork, I got into the reserves, I ran for state representative. That didn't ultimately work out, and so I ran for the DNC chair. Now, I ran for the DNC because it was the same thing. The party was not representing the people, and they are the party of the people. And that disparity just, it struck me center mass, because it's one thing to have politicians be corrupt. It's another to have a party that's supposed to be indicative of people's voices do the same exact thing. So I couldn't stand idly by and let that happen. And of course, that didn't happen either. So I then started Our Voice. Now that's actually working great, and we can talk about that in a moment. But the progress that we've been making with Our Voice has been phenomenal. And now, as you said, I'm running for Congress, and I think this is the year where it all comes to fruition. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for running. We definitely need more people like you that are taking up the mantle to run for office.
The mantle's big enough. We can have as many people run. We don't, let's not oversaturate one race, but hey, 435 races are up for grabs. Yep. Please.
Yep. That's how we're really gonna get the party of the people, is when the people start running again. So
exactly.
You mentioned that you actually resigned from your from the Air Force. Can you talk a little bit about your experience, and how does that help you as a candidate?
So the military question is, I won't say complicated, but it's also not short. I'm still a reservist, which means I'm part-time 1 week a month, 3 weeks out of the year. I'm still an NCO in the Air Force, and I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud to still serve. I look forward to staying in for 20 years or more. Mm-hmm. What it gives me, though, is I think something unique, which shouldn't be unique, which is structure and discipline. And no matter what field you're looking at, politics, private industry, education, sciences, anything, structure is what's lacking. And in the progressive movement, that is my only critique, the only criticism. We have all the right ideas, we have the right energy, we have the right passions. We do not have the structure. And that's not a negative thing to say. It's just we do not have a way to sound all of our voices and all of our ideas at the same time and focus on the same final issue, right? Mm-hmm. We have various civil rights activists, we have various clean energy activists, we have various women's rights activists, LGBTQ, we have various people running for office for the same office. And we have multiple people doing the same thing in the same region without working together, doing the same work over and over again. So with my military background, yes, I can be a little abrasive sometimes, and I can be a little focused and regimented. Mm-hmm. However, that's exactly what we need. And I don't say that because it's me. I say that because look around you. Mm-hmm. The structure is what's winning. Not the structure that's benefiting people, but the structure of the elite, the moneyed, the lobbyists, and the powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely have a lot of progressive action right now. But yeah, I agree that the direction is on the basis of these individual groups that are happening. Let's talk about your district that you're running in. So it's Ohio's 1st district. What are some of the major issues facing the citizens there?
So it's safe to say that the standard issues are facing this district, but which ones really shine? Mm-hmm. The opioid crisis is definitely the first one. I mean, it is top. As much as I would rather talk about healthcare because I know more about it, mm-hmm. It's definitely the opioid crisis, and it is absolutely devastating communities, especially in rural America. And my district is rural America with urban America mixed. So we have it in the countryside, and we also have it in the inner city. So we also have judicial reform, police reform, the need for that. Mm-hmm. Also healthcare and education. Now, I will keep saying those are the prominent issues. Mm-hmm. But those are also tied into the economics. It's hard to talk about separate issues without tying it into the economy. Mm-hmm. If we had a strong, robust economy and thus a strong, robust middle class, healthcare wouldn't be as big of an issue. Neither would accessibility to education, mm-hmm. let alone the need to engage in drugs, right? Because why do people resort to drugs? It's usually as an escape. It's a coping mechanism. Or it's the overprescription of opioids for pain medications. Again, if we had different medications, if we had a better healthcare system, we wouldn't be prescribing opioids. We would be prescribing marijuana.
Exactly.
So, mm-hmm. and I say that, and I stand by that because the medicinal research on cannabis is extensive. It was America's #1 cash crop for a reason. Mm-hmm. And that applies to my district specifically because we are an agrarian community in the Ohio's 1st district. And what would revitalize crops more than cannabis, and especially hemp? Industrial hemp is America's #1 cash crop, but you can literally turn it into anything. In fact, I recently just found out that not only can it be plastics and construction material, there's even a grade of steel that could be turned out of hemp. That's new to me. By all means, fact check me on that. But that is what I've heard in my research as claims. Now, textiles, papers, just every other thing that we know hemp can be done. It's a revolutionary thing. Plus, the raw materials itself. You don't need to take over the entire field. You only need 10% of the field, and it revitalizes the crop so that you can have a marijuana rotation year-round or during the entire cycle. Now, all that to say, sorry, I get a little long-winded.
I'm going to transition you here in a second. I want to talk about healthcare more.
Okay, good. Then I will stop there.
Okay. That's great. So, my question is: do you support single-payer healthcare?
Absolutely. Okay. Single-payer healthcare. I'll stop right there. Never mind. I got to be short and concise.
Oh no, it's good. I was just gonna follow up with how. So we just talked about a lot of different ways that healthcare is central in Ohio's 1st district. What would you do to address some of these healthcare issues in Ohio's 1st district?
So one of the things I'm going to say is probably not the most politically expedient thing to say. We need to legalize addiction. We need to decriminalize addiction. However you want to phrase it, whatever's more palatable. We cannot treat addicts as criminals. It is a medical condition. It isn't a talking point. It isn't a way to seem liberal or progressive. It is a fact. It is a medical fact that an addiction is a chemical dependence of the body. And heroin and cocaine and methamphetamines and all the other drugs out there cause a chemical dependence, which is called addiction. So first, we need to treat the problem for what it is. It's a medical problem. That'll also revolve around judicial reform and police reform and our prison reform. And there's just, by legalizing or treating addiction as the health problem, it changes a whole slew of other problems, and to the benefit of usually minority groups and the poor and disenfranchised. So that's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do, and this is where I'm probably going to lose a few people to nodding off because it's going to be a lot of numbers. Every hospital and every medical facility charges a different cost for the same thing. Broken hand, $500 here, $1,000 there, $2,000 there. Not only that, there's multipliers involved, meaning it might be 2.1 here, 1.3 there, 11 over there. If you divide the revenue of a medical treatment facility by the multiplier and subtract whatever funding they got from Medicare, it covers the costs, or a very, and I mean very, nominal out-of-pocket cost, meaning you would be paying $25 or $50 or maybe even $100 out of pocket to have your full, complete cancer treatment, colonoscopy, having your hand fixed, being treated for, I don't know, some like respiratory problem, right? If we do that, single payer for all is already solvent without raising a single tax dollar, eliminating the insurance costs from your out-of-pocket expenses. Yes, that affects an industry, but that'll be a different answer to a different question. It solves the medical problem, the medical crisis. Medicare for all just expounds upon that, and then universal health care means truly no out-of-pocket costs, regardless of how that ends up being financed. So those are the steps that I would take.
Awesome. So this kind of ties into healthcare as well. So Trump recently gave employers the ability to refuse contraceptives to women. And so the question I have is, do you support reproductive rights, the right to choose, and of course, reproductive health care?
Well, gee, I mean, I feel like there's only one answer to this, of course. And, it's not just because you're a woman and interviewing me, and that's, obviously the right thing to say. It just confounds me that the men who made that decision were men. I don't know how many more ways I can emphasize that fact. A group of men decided what you could do with your body. Not even just health in general, you women specifically, what you can do with your body. Contraceptives is one. The right to choose is another. Why are feminine products taxed? That is literally a tax on women. I've heard people try and argue, well, you could put tampons in your work boots to soak up the sweat. Okay.
What?
If you want to make that argument, that's great. You're still an asshole for saying it. But the same thing with other, I'm not going to go into the detail, but you get it.
Okay.
We are taxing women for the fact that they are women and they need different things than men, right? And as far as I understand, there's nothing men need specifically that a woman couldn't use short of condoms. And even then, that's more of a sexual health thing. So the Trump administration and Republicans in general, they are sprinting to the extreme right of politics. And it truly scares me, but it is also regressive in nature. We are coming to the point where you, and I truly mean you and Laura and every other woman that might be watching this, are going to be sent back into the kitchen. And I don't say that lightly, and I don't say that to be funny. That is their goal, to take away your rights, to take away your education, to take away your credibility. You are a professional. You have achieved this status in life through your hard work. Earlier, I went through a smear campaign, whereupon not only was I attacked, but two women that were helping me on my campaign and on my efforts, my political efforts, were also attacked. The political director to Mayor de Blasio was treated as if she were a pining ex-girlfriend. And then Andrea Romick, who is a part of Civic Matters and has been a part of many winning campaigns, was treated as a spurned ex. These are professionals. These are women who have established themselves in the progressive community and made a name for themselves, have proven their worth time and time again. and they were disregarded as literal meat.
Mm-hmm.
That's unacceptable. But that is exactly what has become the norm under the Trump administration, and it's reprehensible. And I will absolutely advocate against it. I will even go this far. I will not vote on anything having to do with women's rights or reproductive choices, other than to say, you have that choice. It is not mine to make in any form or fashion. It's tantamount to forcing my religion upon you. It's tantamount to making you subservient to me, to deny you the choice of body autonomy. I can't.
I think what you said initially was really, really good. We need these things to live, like to lead a normal life. Like I can't just change my gender. I can't like tell my uterus to be like, all right, hold up for a month, please. Time out.
The other thing, like they want to say that women on birth control are just, vivacious, harlots sleeping around and spreading disease and getting knocked up and living off of the government. But it's been my understanding over the course of 27 years of learning that birth control is far more than just not getting pregnant. It helps women who have excessive bleeding or excessive cramps or whatever else that I don't really want to get into.
I know.
It helps more than one way.
Yeah. I love this convo. We've got 5 minutes left, so I'm actually going to jump ahead a little bit. We've got 2 questions. One is from Reddit. The first one is, what was your experience like for running for DNC chair?
I gotta say, I've done and experienced quite a few things as a 27-year-old, and this was before I got involved in politics. But to get on a panel with professionals, people who have lived their entire careers in politics, and to be treated as an equal, and to not only be taken seriously, but to then be able to change a conversation to the argument you were making, that was an incredible feeling. To meet these people, to rub shoulders with this community. I get it, it's the establishment, but these are the men and women who have been doing this for decades. You can learn so much from them, whether it's what not to do or what to follow in their footsteps with. And then, of course, I gotta say, it was pretty cool to be on the CNN debate. I may have only had 5.5 minutes of speaking time, but I had a blast. I really did. Honestly, the entire experience, I had my fair share of negative interactions, but overall, I personally had the time of my life.
Awesome. Yeah, it was great. That was a great experience watching that. So yeah, thanks again for providing your voice to this this conversation. I got one last question for you. This one's from Reddit. It's a little bit I don't know how to say this. They want to know. They want you to. The phrase here is drop character. Drop character. So I think they want to get a sense of what tensions stress you when it comes to what you feel, regardless of how others might take it.
My feelings to see if this is just a facade, or if I really am, trying to be Captain America plus JF Kennedy and everything else, right?
Yeah.
Let me be clear. Honestly, I'm 27 years old. I've been in politics a year. Realistically, I've been in politics a year. I've been noticed for less than a year, like maybe going on 9 months, if that, 8 months. I'm just a guy. If I took my camera around and showed you my apartment, you'd be like, what is this nerd doing trying to represent this country? Like, what the, and it's funny too, because like I got boxing gloves, I got fantasy novels, I got, all sorts of campaign literature, and I got video games. I mean, I'm just a mess, right? Here's the thing. What stresses me out isn't even the long hours. It isn't balancing work life and politics. It's the frustration that there is so much energy in this progressive movement, but so little willingness to tap into it and work together. People, what frustrates me the most, and I'll say it, and this is probably where the whole I'm a sellout comes into play. we need to start acting like the professionals we purport to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that negatively against any one faction. I'm saying that as a whole. We aren't treated with respect because we don't cultivate it. We just get on Facebook and we're angry. We don't turn out to vote, but we go to protests and we rant and rave and we shake our fists. These are wonderful, meaningful things. The next step is going out there, knocking on doors, using the Our Voice canvassing app. Oh yeah, I didn't forget. It's about getting people like me elected, like Jessica running in Iowa, and Stephen Jaffe and Tim Canova, and some of my local candidates here, Noah, Ada. These are the people we need to get elected because they are people. That's the focus. And until we learn to work together, that our diversity, even in beliefs and actions taken for progressivism, is not adversity. That it's our diversity and our different actions that make us strong. E pluribus unum. That is our truth. And we need to start embracing it. Otherwise, we will continue to lose like we have for the past 40 years. That's my frustration.
Yeah. Thank you. To tie that back into the question a little bit, as I understood it. So you're taking these tensions in stride because of your level of inspiration and dedication, and you're just a normal dude. And anyone can do this. It's just taking that next step and committing to the action, like committing.
It's what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody can do it.
Mm-hmm.
If a literal nobody from BFE, Ohio, millennial veteran can get on CNN and be treated as an equal with no background in politics, no understanding other than reading the damn charter and meeting the minimums, anybody can do it. Fine. I'm a smart guy. I'm a good public speaker. You have to also be willing to be in front of the camera. Right. Fine. Not literally everybody can do what I did, but everybody can do something to make a difference. It does not matter. And please email me. Go to my social media. Do whatever it takes. Ask the question. Get involved. That's what Our Voice is about. That's what my campaign's about. And that's what I've been trying to convey my entire campaign.
Well, thank you. I think that about wraps it up. That was a very good conversation.
I'm sorry I can't be longer. I do. It was just, I don't want to say it was poorly planned, but I had a local meeting, and then I had an interview right after that, and then I had this, and then I have to go and do yet another thing. So I truly apologize, and I hope that doesn't keep me from coming back on in a future date.
No, thank you so much for taking this time. This really, it helps us, and the whole goal of this is to profile and highlight candidates like you, because you guys deserve the exposure, you deserve the empowerment, really. So thanks.
Anytime.
All right.
Well, Reddit,
Awesome, guys.
Thank you for having me. If you have any more questions, again, you can, I think I have a subreddit. I think it's like Sam Ronan for Congress. Just find me. If you type in my name, you'll find it.
We'll post it in the thread.
Post it in the thread. Y'all, I'm more than happy to answer your questions.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. This was a dry run opportunity for us to get all the kinks worked out, and we're going to talk after this and find out how well the dictation software works, because all the other pieces have to be connected in. What you haven't seen are the answers, which should be posted on Reddit. So that's part of how this exchange goes. And if you're on Reddit and looking here, that's another thing I forgot to say. There's an extension you can get if you're a Reddit person that lets you have the video embedded into the Reddit page, so you can watch them both and see the good conversation. And that was the whole point of this. So I want to thank Glow and everybody at politicalrevolution.com, and Sam Ronan for spending their time on this, and Laura Livengood for spending her time on this. And we will see you all, on this channel, we'll see you all tomorrow for Progressive Oregon with Larry Taylor. And look for the event that we will create that will be this for real, with a lot more questions, and that will be with Sam, now that we've abused him twice now. He's got to get out of here, go do something else. We'll see you again real soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, I got like 5 minutes if we need to critique me, so I know.